Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Fighters, Coaches, and Fathers. I'm absolutely excited to introduce, or not to introduce, but to have Michael Hill on the podcast today. Michael Hill is a competitor from Tough 16 and just recently won the Welterweight Championship in XFFC. Michael, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Geoff. I'm doing good. Ending summer off, really good here in my hometown of Powell River, and just kind of having some downtime with my family, my daughter, and my friends, and just kind of unwinding from the 12-week training camp before the title fight, and just trying to relax and recover.
Man, that's awesome, and congratulations on that win. I know being a Canadian champion is something you've been looking to do and was a goal of yours for a long time. So absolutely delighted to see you achieve that and to get back home and hang out with the family, have a little bit of time off. But listen, when I was looking back at your career, I was like, I took a look at your things like your tough audition tape, which is actually amazing. You watch that from way back when, and you go all the way back. But this we really like to talk about, you know, growing up, and how you sort of started your journey into fighting. But you want to talk a little bit about your family, your parents growing up, and we'll start there.
Yeah, I was an athlete and a competitor more than I ever was, a student in school. Um, my parents split up when I was pretty young, and it's a bad breakup, and I just I was the oldest kid, so I held a lot of anger inside me, and I released that anger all the time through sports, competition, and then as I got older, and I got introduced to alcohol and partying and stuff like that. I started releasing that anger on family members and friends and fights outside of my home and my circle, and I was fighting all the time, man. I was literally fighting with everyone and everything, and my teachers, my teammates, my brothers, um, and so I literally burnt every bridge possible, and I hurt a lot of people along the way, a lot of coaches, a lot of family members, and again a lot of friends, and I my father gave me every opportunity in the world to become an athlete in various different sports. Soccer, I excelled in. He sent me away to play baseball in the top leagues here in BC. He gave me every opportunity to play hockey on two different occasions. Went away to junior hockey and stuff, and I messed up a lot. And it was always fighting. Everything was always fighting. It always led to a fight and ended in a fight. And so I was 20 years old, and The Ultimate Fighter Season 1 came out. And, it seems like everyone's, young fighting story kind of stems from The Ultimate Fighter Season 1, Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner. That season and that one fight kind of, led to, a lot of fighters' careers, the start of their careers. And that's what it did for me. I was sitting around, and we were watching the season with, some of my buddies, and I just looked up at the TV and said, I can do this. I remember my friends kind of laughing at me, and I said, I'm going to do this. And, I went to my dad. I went to my dad, and I asked him for some money to go try out for the Ultimate Fighter. And my dad, who had given me everything, like I said, he looked at me and he said, Michael, he said, son, go get a job, go get a real job, go down to, you know, the mill, which is, you know, the big thing here in my small town. You know, he said, go down to the mill, they're hiring, and get a job. You know, you need to start working, you need to start paying your own bills. And that was the one time my father ever declined me from doing anything. You know, giving me that money to go achieve something, or to go play the sport that I wanted. So I found a job. I saved up some money. I went down to Seattle with no experience, and I filled out the application. I got through the application process. I met Joe Silva. I tried out. I went through the first round. I stayed there all day. I got another try at round 1. Joe Silva and the UFC matchmakers just kind of shook their head at me. They seen that I was there, and they had a chat with me. And they told me that, you know, I obviously, you know, had the heart to do it. You know, they seen that I had conditioning. You know, I went against some top fighters that, you know, had good records, and I didn't even know who these guys were. And I had nothing, and they knew that. And they told me about TriStar in Montreal, a Canadian gym, you know, with George St. Pierre. And they told me about a young fight team in Kelowna, British Columbia, with the best record in Canada, and a young rising star named Rory MacDonald, who was being compared to the next best Canadian fighter in the world. And so I wrote to David from Seattle. I wrote to David, and I wrote to Rory. I looked them both up on Google there, and I wrote to them both, just saying, hey, I'm a young kid. I'm an athletic kid. I'll leave my ego at the door. I'll work hard. I can fight. And Rory just wrote back, you know, cool. He just wrote one word, cool. And David Lea wrote back a little more of a message, you know, but his message was a little more, you know, it was, I remember it was, you know, hey, hey, Michael, nice to meet you. I'm glad to hear your story so far. You know, I get emails from you know, young fighters and fighters from all around, like you, all the time, wanting to be a part of my team. I can't make you part of my team. I can't give you a fight. But what I can do is I can offer you a free week trial and give you a pair of gloves. I suggest you bring a mouth guard and a jock, and come on up and try it out. And from Seattle, I paid my ticket to Kelowna, and I didn't come home. I didn't talk to anybody for 2 years. You know, 18 months, I think it was, 19 months. And David Lea finally gave me my first fight after 19 months. And you know, those 19 months weren't easy as well, man. A lot of ups and downs. I left the gym a couple times. I went back to my old ways, you know, partying and just being young, man. Being up in Kelowna, it's a great big city. But David Lea, you know, he always accepted me. He always believed in me. He gave me that first fight, and after that first fight, I thought my career started, man. And I went on to, you know, I think I went 5-0, and then I made the Ultimate Fighter. And I did something that, you know, I put my mind to, and I did something that I said I'd do. I set out to do, and not a lot of people believed in me. And the mind's a powerful thing, man. When you work hard, you dedicate yourself to something day in and day out, and you have that struggle, and that struggle builds growth. And made the Ultimate Fighter, man. And you know, I remember even making the Ultimate Fighter and coming off the Ultimate Fighter, and every fight after that, I continue to say the same thing. You know, the next one's always the hardest. The journey's not over yet. It's not done yet. It's not, you know, I'm not happy where I'm at. You know, I did it. On to the next one.
It's interesting. And if you don't mind, I want to go back. How old were you? I want to talk about where that spark and that anger came from, and then the transition to doing something positive with it. How old were you when your parents split up, Mike?
Um, I forget how old I was, man. I think I was around 14 years old. Um, yeah. I try not to think about it because it's still like it's still there. You know what I mean? It's still a part of me. I'm still every day. I'm still trying to um, figure that out myself. But it definitely it's fuel to my fire, man. It makes me who I am. It makes if I didn't have that in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be the the brother I am today. I wouldn't be the especially the father I am today. Sorry, I'm trying to get this shadow out of my face. Is that
No problem.
there?
No, I love that. I love that reaction, and I get it. It's something probably that you've used very well to get forward. But this incident happens. You've got a rage inside you. You start acting out, getting in fights, all that other stuff, and then you see the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, there's probably a lot of kids or growing up that watched that didn't make the decision to go down and try out for the show. Like, was there something that drove you to do that outside of, what was inside you? You know what I mean?
Like, did I want to be anything else in life? Is that or
Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of other people that probably had divorced or separated families that
yep.
had anger within them, and then they kind of went a different way. They maybe ended up in jail, or they ended up in different. You probably have friends like that, and you decided to go this way. Is there a reason why you think that you did that outside of where other people took different paths?
Oh, 100, yeah, 100%. Me saying that my parents split up and divorced, and it, it, like I know that there are so many people, the whole world, man, there's so many other people out there that have it way worse than I ever did. You know what I mean? I didn't have a tough life at all. Like very, very, point 1% compared to what other people are struggling around the world today. Um, but you know, the I still can't. I wish I could come out and say it to you and tell you what happened behind closed doors, um, stuff like that. But it just, I can't do that yet. I don't want to stuff like that. I don't want to. I just don't want to. I just don't want to share with the world right now.
Yeah.
One day I think, I will, and that's part of me letting go. But, um, it again, it made me who I am, and it drives me every day to be a better person, and a better fighter and a better father, and that's what made me who I am.
Yeah, and I don't want to like dwell on that whatsoever. But one of the because when I took a look at last night, I was driving around and I took a break and I took a look at your tough audition tape, and I was like, then you laughed. You said I hadn't seen that forever, and it starts out like meditate upon this, and then it's got this awesome quotes from like I can't remember who the guys who says this, but and then it goes through your training, and then you got training with Rory and then you go into the final description why you should be in the UFC, and it's probably one of the best tough application tapes I've ever seen. And when I saw it, I was like, that is night and day from probably how he grew up, and it just seems professional. And the first question that popped into my head was the philosophy behind that, or the mentality around the meditate upon this. Uh, have you been able to sort of use meditation or calm your mind or philosophy or get into the way of martial arts?
Oh, 100%, man. Martial arts is my religion. It it is the way of my life. And I wake up every morning and it's one of my during my morning routines when I'm writing down the things I'm grateful for and thankful for, martial arts is always on there. It, it, like I said, I don't know how else to explain it. Every martial artist that, let's go back to, like the last guys you had on your podcast, the Jesse Bongfeldt, the David Lees. Those are those are martial artists. Those are true martial artists, and those guys are role models. David Lea is, still to this day, a father figure to me. That guy's, when I'm down and out, that guy's got the best advice. I mean, I'm so thankful that I went to Toshido and I met him and I got to be part of that young fight team, and now I got the Toshido crest tattooed into my blood veins, man, and I bleed Toshido, and I'm so thankful for the martial arts way. And yeah, it is. I started again too. Yoga and being spiritual is part of being a martial artist, and I didn't find that out until I had 3 bulging discs in my back, and I actually had that right before the Ultimate Fighter. A lot of people don't know that, and I'm not one to ever talk about my injuries. You'll never find an interview, and you'll never see me after a fight grab the microphone, win or lose, and talk about any injuries. I have. We're fighters, and we got to find a way to dig deep and get that win or make it inside the cage and fight. But yoga and the spiritual side of martial arts is definitely a big part of my life.
So that's awesome, and it seems to have sort of evened you out in your character and made you a better person. But you talked about morning routine. And that statement alone makes me very curious about yours. As for example, for me, my morning routine would usually be I'm up, I'll study or I'll do some trading work. I'm into finance, and then for about half an hour at 5:30, 6:30, then I go to the gym. Then I try to do a fighter interview, and then so your morning routine is essential. Do you have something that you do and then meditate a bit, and then what's your morning routine like?
Well, first off, I like to, it's a great thing you have a morning routine because a lot of people don't. And that's, a huge problem in this world, I think, is a lot of people don't have the morning routine, and, that they, again, growth is huge, and, for living a happy and successful life. And the most successful people in the world, all have a morning routine. And I found that out by modeling after some of the the greatest people to walk this planet or to play sports. And so I wake up now. I mean, it takes me a little longer to wake up now than it did when I was 22 and 25. I feel like I'm 90 years old some mornings, so I literally got to walk around for about an hour drinking water. But I get up. And I drink about 2 liters of water, lemon water with my salt. And I get outside, I open the door, open a window, and I just breathe in the fresh air for a good 5 minutes. I say a few things for what I'm grateful for. Big thing being alive and being in a beautiful home like British Columbia. Having my family around me, having my health, my daughter's health. And then, I meditate for about 5-10 minutes. When I'm in fight camp, I do a yoga class when I'm intermittent fasting. So it's a bit longer of a meditation. But when I'm not in fight camp, I do it myself. And then, I write in a journal. So once I had my little girl, once I knew about my little girl, I knew I'd be a single father. And I, being a fighter, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you never know what's going to happen anyways. Not being a fighter, you could get hit by a car, you could get diagnosed with cancer, so many things like that. But, when you're in the training room every day, being tossed on your head and punched in your head, and, you're going into the cage and fighting like that, you never know, something could slip up and not happen. So I started writing to my daughter in a journal, and that was one thing I never did do part of my routine, but I started doing that, making that a part of my routine, was writing to my daughter. And then, I go get some cardio in, and I really release all that energy that I have built up in my head and my body. And, I get that cardio in, and then I get a nice healthy meal in, and I start my day, and that's my routine.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know how to ask this question, and it's okay if you're not comfortable asking it, but answering it. But how did you know you'd be a single father with your daughter?
No, that's okay. So I have a beautiful daughter. She's 3 now. Her name's Blythe. And I have her mother and I were we dated throughout high school here in our small town, and we're I still I'm still trying to figure it out, but we just don't we clash a lot. We just no matter what we do, we just don't get along, and so I was with her for, I think, I don't know, 7-10 years. So when you're with someone for that long and you're talking to someone for that long, I probably know her better than I know anyone, still to this day. And so I just knew that we can never make it work, right? So how are we gonna make it work with our child, right? So I just knew that was the route. She does something completely different. I'm on my own journey, and then we just can't seem to make it work. So I just knew it'd be a route that I'd be taking, and I had to. I wanted to just I wanted to be there every step of the way from my daughter as much as I could, and being in a small town here with no martial arts academy, no coaches, no training partners, I didn't know how to do it. You come from somewhere like Toshido for 7 years, you come from one of the best fight camps, and then you go to your hometown where nobody believed in you about what you're doing. Nobody really knows. When you say fighting, they think violence. That they're scared to ask you about your career. Um, I've been home for two weeks, Geoff, and I've got more. Hey, man, the mill's hiring. The mill's hiring. 50 new workers. You should go apply. More than, hey, congratulations, Michael. It's nice to see you achieve something you've worked so hard for. You know what I mean? So it's fun. The mentality is always going to be like that. It was a huge thing weighing on my shoulders, but a big thing is I'm worrying about myself, and I'm worrying about that little girl, man. That's all. If I can pave a pathway to be that, athletes are heroes in kids' eyes, right, Geoff? Athletes are every kid. When you're a kid, I'm a kid. Every kid wants to be an athlete. Every kid wants, they want to dress like Sidney Crosby. They want to dress like LeBron James. They want to, fight like George St. Pierre or Johnny Bones Jones. So to me, if my little girl can have that as her dad and walk around town, and every little boy and every little girl, because there's nothing here like that. When I said in an interview before, when I grew up, there's a few athletes that made the NHL that were on the lineup for the Major League Baseball, that went to the Olympics for track and field, and I had that. I had those guys that I looked up to and that I could talk to. We don't have that here anymore in town. So, if I can be that, my little girl can see her dad, then, and I'm not saying she's going to become an athlete, and I'm going to support her whatever she chooses to do. But you know, when that day does come to those struggles and those hard times, and you know, the bumps in the road, if you haven't lived that or you don't go through that, the only thing you're going to know how to do is say, go get a job, go get a safe job, pay the bills. Right? You're not going to know how to get past. You're not going to know how to overcome those fears or push past those fears. And so now it's like I'm on this journey to show my little girl and teach my little girl and help other kids, you know, when they get to that pivot point in their life and say, hey, how do I do this? You know, what do I need to do? What can I do? Which way do I go? You know, I want to be there and be like, hey, this is how you do it, man. I got your back. You know, I'll stand in front of you. I'll plow down every obstacle in your way. And you know, when you want to go grab it, you know, like I said, I got your back. I'll stand by you. I'll stand behind you. Whatever you need, you know, I got you. I'm that. You know, I'm that hero. I'm that superhero.
Yeah, man, it's clear by the way that you talk and the way that we see the things on Instagram, the super cool pictures of you and your daughter, and all that stuff, man, that you have this incredible love for her, and it is inspiring across the board. And I love the fact that you're talking about being a role model in a community that doesn't even see MMA fighters as role models and doing that, man. And the struggle is so different for someone like yourself, which is awesome. But we're talking about this stuff. There's a question I ask everybody during these podcasts, and I'm not sure how you want to answer it, but it's what do you think, being the father that you are, being the fighter that you are now, what was maybe one of the most useful lessons or one of the most important pivotal moments that you learned from your family?
Uh, well, my father, hard work, you know, 100%. When you're a kid, until I became a father myself, and again, you know, I hate to go back to this and keep using this word because, you know, and don't get me wrong, anyone listening out there, you know, my my daughter is the most beautiful, smart little soul, and her mom does such a wonderful job, and you know, we're doing a great job parenting, but you know, the hard work from my father and not knowing that what he was going through. My dad went through it with 3 kids, right? And I'm sitting here for the first year of my life, and why me? Why me? You know, and then why am I that? You know, why is this happening to me? Why me? Right? But then, you know, one day it just came, and I looked at my dad, and I was like, holy fuck, he did it with 3 kids. You had, you know what I mean? I mean, wow, right? And him and I still haven't talked. We still don't talk. He's never bad talked to my mom. He's never. I've never seen him do anything, you know, wrong to try to, you know, take my brother and sister and myself and nothing like that. He's just always woke up every morning and went to work and gave his children every opportunity in life. And I don't know if he's in debt above his head. I don't know if he had to remortgage the house 5 times. I'm not sure how the hell that man does it, but he kept quiet. He put his head down. He got up if he was sick, if he was injured, if he was having a bad day, if he didn't sleep. You know, all those kind of stresses that life put on you in those hard times. And he went to work every day, and he gave his kids every opportunity they could to be whatever they needed to be. So for me, that's, you know, hard work from my father, man. Just, you know, getting up every day and doing the same thing through consistency, and you know, and hoping that the hard work and the consistency will, and the kindness, that's a big one too. You know, kindness, when you're kind to everyone, you know, which I see my father do all the time, and that, I know. with hard work, dedication, and kindness, and good things will happen over time. And that's what I truly believe in. So my dad's a huge inspiration to me, man, and that's what I've taken away from growing up as a child, and part of the reason becoming who I am today, and the success I've had today is from learning from my dad and taking from what I've seen through my father. Not asking, not vision, not verbal, but just watching and continuing to pass on that knowledge that I learned from my dad now onto my life and to my kids' life.
Thank you for that. What's next for Michael Hill? I mean, when I look back and I was watching the old tough application video, and I saw you and Rory training together, and then I looked down and I'm like, wait a minute, you're both welterweights. That's a great Bellator story. Like, training partners, just to have that video and to have you guys actually fight in Bellator, man. I'm like, how do we make that happen? Would you be open to that fight? I mean, because you guys are friends, right?
No, I wouldn't say we're friends.
Oh.
No, the thing, like, I look up to Rory so much. He's my favorite fighter. I would be absolutely honored to fight Rory if Bellator ever asked me to do that. It's definitely part of my vision. Definitely see my, when I put my mind to, when I think about my career and the storybook ending and all that kind of stuff, it does end fighting the best welterweight in the world, and that is Rory MacDonald. And like you said, what a story that makes. But yeah, I mean, who knows, man? Who fucking knows? I'd fight anyone. I'm not scared. I remember leaving the Ultimate Fighter and running over to Dana White, knowing that I wouldn't be on the season finale, and just being like, hey man, you need anyone to fucking fight. I don't care who it is. If it's George St. Pierre, if it's Johnny Bones Jones, get me in there, kind of thing, right? So it's like I said, every next fight is the toughest, but it's an amazing chapter. I look at my life like a storybook, and every fight camp and every fight is another chapter, and it starts and it ends, and there's struggles and there's growth and there's good times and there's bad times, and in the end of each chapter, it always makes me a better person, a smarter person, a more knowledgeable person, a stronger person, and yeah, why can't I have my Rocky story? Why can't I have my Muhammad Ali story? That's what I'm here to do, man. I'm not here to just be that guy that comes back to my hometown and just gets to talk shit about, oh, I used to be this guy, I used to do that, I could have been this, I could have been that. I'm making my journey as strong as possible, and my book is as best as possible, and hopefully one day they can make a movie of me, and maybe fight the guy who I look up to, my favorite fighter, the guy I model after so much in life still today, and the best fighter in the world, and he's the best welterweight in the fucking world, man. And I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy watching him. I'm so seeing his success, and that's a big part of what I take in. You'll see me close my eyes and look up every time in the cage before I fight. I look up and I say a little thing, hey grandma, watch over me, to all my homies that passed away, here's the cage side seats for you, free seats, and I'd just be like, fuck, I can spar Rory MacDonald. I can fight anyone. So, and then I open my eyes, I go touch the gloves, and there you go, man. The fight's on. So,
Man, that's an awesome story. And when you talk about your movie, we're all creating it right now. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, and I want to congratulate you on the XFFC championship. I know there's good things coming for you, and if I can do any support to you to get you to Bellator to do that, that'd be amazing. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time, Michael, and I look forward to see what you do next.
Awesome, Geoff. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I know we're super excited. We, you know, I was in talks the start of this week after Labor Day weekend. There, I messaged, you know, Darren, the owner and Matt, you know, promoter of XFFC, and I said, hey, man, I'm ready. Let's get something going. You know, I'm ready to defend my belt. You know, I truly believe you're not a champion until you defend that belt. So, you know, winning that belt, that, you know, is a kind of, you know, I'm still mentally drained every day about you know winning the belt, and it's 12 weeks you picture this nasty knockout and jumping on the cage and being so fucking primal and roaring to the crowd and rah, yes, I did it. You know, it's so excited, and you know, it was a weird way to kind of end the fight, and there's a couple things in the fight that happened that were kind of, you know, threw me off a bit, and I had to overcome the adversity and come back and then yeah, man. I mean, it's you know what they fucking do. I got a belt around my waist, and you know I want to get right back in there right away. I'm trying to, you know, my friends and my family are like, hey man, you need to rest, you need to recover a bit. And I'm already in, you know, the gym, trying to cut weight and trying to stay around my walking weight, because
you never know, right? Like
opportunities. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but opportunities, man. What if I, you know, like you said, you know, what if this interview gets seen by, you know, Bellator, and you know, say Musasi gets injured, or you know that welterweight tournament, someone pops out of that welterweight tournament, they're having a Bellator, and they see this, and hey man, we need you next week, or we need you in 2 weeks, and you know you're not ready, you lose that opportunity. You know, Dana White could call. You know, my manager, myself, are in talks with UFC. We'll fight anyone at any time, any Canadian event. I'll fucking drive there. You know, those are the kind of things we're putting in these big promotions' heads. So, when opportunity comes and it comes knocking on the door, you got to be ready. And if you're not ready, well, you miss out. You could miss out on an opportunity of your lifetime. And I've had so many opportunities come my way. And I've always been ready, and that's, you know, I'm keeping my blade sharp, my weapon sharp, and you know we'll be ready. So we told Darren. Darren said December 14th. So we'll get one more in before the new year, and you know, we're looking at a big name to just, you know, keep this storybook going, man, and get another win and hold that belt up again, and come home to my little girl, and keep getting those W's, and keep making you know. Keep making things happen in life that people say can't happen, and you know, shocking the world, and you know, being happy.
Yeah, man. No, I get it, and man, the story is too good for it not to happen in my mind, and we're going to support this. We're going to get this to Scott and the guys at Bellator. Just consistently planting seeds for you, man, because it's just a great story, and really the story is what sells fights, and it'll be exciting. So thanks again for taking the time, my friend. I look forward to hopefully I'll get down there for December to see you at Darren's event, XFFC, and defend that title, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Thanks so much for having me, Geoff. It was an honor to be on your show, and you know, I enjoyed doing this, and I hope everyone else enjoys it. And yeah, awesome, man.
Go from there. Thanks, brother. Bye for now. And thank you so much for your support of fighters, coaches, and fathers. To subscribe to see upcoming interviews, click the circle on your left, and click the box on your right to watch Mike Hill and Rory MacDonald's head coach, David Lea, and I talk, well, just about everything. Enjoy.